According to Dr. Brian Ray, president of the National Home Education Research Institute, there was between 1.5 to 1.9 million K-12 homeschooled students in the U.S. in 2012. 26 states allowed homeschooled students to participate in extracurricular or co-curricular activities during or after school, attend academic classes at a local public school, part-time, or both. Should homeschool students be allowed to play in public school sports? The answer is no, and here's why. Homeschool students would not be able to get any punishment if they did something wrong or inappropriate. Schools would be able to easily recruit, causing a disadvantage to other schools, and there is no GPA or attendance requirement for the homeschooled students. Homeschooled students do need a place to exercise, but it should not be with a public school team. According to Hodge et al., there is more of a behavioral risk in adolescent homeschooled students than there is with public school students. If a homeschooled student decided to post something inappropriate on social media, then the school cannot do anything about it. The only people who can discipline the homeschooled child is his parents or his coach. But parents do not discipline their children, and the coach would not bench the student because he would want his best players out on the field or court. So the student would get away with disrespecting the other the other school or team, and the only people that would look bad would be the school they play for. This is a big reason why homeschool students should not play with public schools, because there are no disciplinary actions that would be taken to correct what the child did wrong. Another problem with homeschooled students playing for public schools is the possibility for coaches to recruit homeschooled students for their team. If a coach knows of a really good basketball player that is a homeschooled child, all the coach would have to do is tell the student to come play for the coach's team. As soon as coaches start recruiting, this will cause fights, arguments among coaches and teams, causing games to get violent. This is a big reason why public schools do not need to allow homeschooled students to play in public school sports. It saves everyone involved from a massive headache of fights, arguments, and worry. In public schools, they have an attendance policy that says that if they miss so many days or miss the day of a game, they do not get to play in that night's game. If a homeschooled student wants to play on a public school team, they could then tell their parents that they did not want to work that day and still play in that night's game. Even if they required a verification note, how hard would it be for the parent to just sign it and still allow the student to play in that night's game? The National Education Association asserts that homeschooling cannot provide the student with a comprehensive education experience. If a parent wants their child to play in that night's game, then they can sign the paper without actually having their child to do the work that they need to do for that day. The GPA requirement is also a problem because a homeschooled student's parent can easily pass their child in all the classes just so their child can play in the sports of their choice. This is another reason why homeschooled students should not play in public school sports, because their parents can lie for them just so they can play. Although some of these problems can be fixed, the GPA and attendance policy could be fixed if they had a more reliable source of verification. With the more reliable source, the student would have to follow the same protocol as their fellow teammates, because it would be unfair for a homeschooled student to be able to skip school the day of a game and still get to play in that night's game. Martin Chung et al. Found that the homeschooling group outscored the public school group on a variety of achievements tests. However, the author found a distinction within the homeschooling group between those who use a more structured style of educating their child, which relied on formal material and clearer goals, and those who educated in a more unstructured style. Research shows that our homeschooled students have above average SAT and ACT scores. They also perform better academically. They had a combined cumulative grade point average of 3.47 compared to the 2.91 shared by the general student population. The problem of the no disciplinary actions could be fixed if coaches are required to take corrective actions when a homeschool student does something inappropriate or wrong. If they do not take the appropriate corrective actions, If they do not take the appropriate corrective actions, then the school and the coach will have to have a corrective action towards the coach for not following protocol. According to Gutterman, there's just as big of a behavioral problem within public school children as there is with homeschool children. A way to prevent fighting and arguments between teams and coaches is to enact a policy that says a homeschooled student can only play with the school that is closest to the student's residency. These are the best ways to still be able to allow a homeschool student to play with the public schools team and still avoid any strife that may come of it. In conclusion, homeschooled students shouldn't be able to play for public school teams because there would be little to no disciplinary actions. The unfair advantages for their GPA and attendance policy and the possibility for recruitment to have happen between coaches and homeschool students. The only way to fix these problems are getting reliable sources of verification, enacting a policy that states there cannot be any recruitment done due to the fact homeschooled students can only play for teams closest to the student's residency, and to have corrective action policies for the discipline of homeschooled students that need them.